and their visitors 3rd and 4th respectively, both looking to join reigning champions Orlando Pirates on 10 points at the top of the log by the conclusion of this match. That's after the Buccaneers got the better of Skukuni United by 2-0 last night in Orlando. Here the protagonists lined up in the tunnel. It's been an interesting one at the top of the table, just for the fact that for the first time in 5 seasons we went into match day 4 with every team having gained a point and every team having dropped points. It's still early days, but just 3 points separate 2nd from 10th currently, meaning plenty can change in just a single evening. And AmaZulu will be keen to capitalize on a much more forgiving schedule than their hosts. They've not been in action for about a week and a half, whilst Downs have had only 2 days to recover from a shock home defeat in the MTN8 semi-final first leg against Slamontville Golden Arrows that was out in Atteridgeville on Sunday. So a 3rd game for Mamelodi Sundowns in the space of 8 days. AmaZulu play their first in 11 days. And as such, Sundowns have had to tinker with their team every time they run out. They have made on average 5 changes per game, 6 last time out ahead of that MTN8 clash against Slamontville Golden Arrows, and 8 changes today, with Ronwen Williams returning in place of Ricardo Goss, Basadine for Modiba, Kekana for Johannes. Morena makes the first start of the season. He's in from Dunyelwa. Tabo Mokoena is back after missing the last 4 matches. Spilelem Kulisi accompanies him in the midfield, with Obas and Allende dropping from the 11. Meanwhile, Bena Mokoena and Levo Motiba are sacrificed for Tashrik Matthews and Brian Leon. Here's William Shongwe with the formations.
And of course, with the return of Mokoena, what this means is the back 4. He'll screen it, but there's going to be more fast-flowing players in front of him. That is where Sundowns might make this game work for them.
Well, for AmaZulu, they're yet to make more than 2 changes ahead of any of their matches this season in all competitions. It's just 1 for today. Spamandla Zikali lost his place in the 11 ahead of their win over Sibilele last time up. He regains his spot with Sianda Hlangabeza dropping to the bench to accommodate that particular alteration.
3-5-2 is the formation, and it's a great flow of players on the wide areas. I'm talking about the wing backs, but it has helped Makogolo to play a little bit narrow, which helps Ngwenya in the striking force, where he creates most chances, already leading the goal scoring charts for AmaZulu.
So Mamelodi Sundowns have a decent crowd out here at Loftus Versfeld for a Wednesday evening. Of course, the temperatures now in late August are absolutely delightful. As we confirm for you that Skumbuzo Gasa will oversee this match, assisted by Timiko Simanga and Tabaga Sibati. Well, Miguel Cardoso, in just over 90 matches in charge of Mamelodi Sundowns, has never lost back-to-back, and he's always had success against AmaZulu. Played for 1-4 since taking charge. Others-Wane, though, in the league, the top flight, has come up against Sundowns 6 times, 5 of those instances with AmaZulu, and 5 defeats in charge of AmaZulu against Mamelodi Sundowns without scoring a goal. Can he change that today? The only time he's ever avoided defeats in a league match against Sundowns was with the Kaizer Chiefs back in the 2021-2022 season. It's great atmosphere, phenomenal conditions, a fledgling league season that has got off to an incredibly intriguing start. No wonder there's so much excitement. Mamelodi Sundowns fans would expect their side to get the job done, especially if they are able to reflect back not only over the past 3 decades of PSL football, but just over the last few years, really utter dominance from their side. In fact, against no other team do Sundowns have as many PSL era wins than they do against AmaZulu. That's 33 from 48 previous league meetings. They've been beaten only 5 times over that period, and their recent record mirrors the 3 decades of dominance against Lesotho. They are beaten in 8 with 6 wins in a row. coming into this one as they get us underway here at Loftus. Should be good. William Shongwe, you've been obviously anticipating this match when it appeared on your schedule, knowing that AmaZulu and Sundowns are unbeaten, but also that AmaZulu have already been able to hold the other major league contenders in Orlando Pirates.
Away from home, that makes even a bigger statement. And coming here for AmaZulu, they've got that belief around them.
And Sundowns to make a fast start here, looking to get on the front foot. Atini Makmakolo attempting to come away with it, and it's a free kick in favor of the hosts, as we urge you to protect our local football and say no to piracy. It does affect all the various stakeholders, you as the fans, and of course the players and the teams as well.
Something maybe to note just before this set piece gets going is how wet this pitch is. It's been watered like over and over.
Cassius Mailula gets it from Spilene Mkulise, went short. It's been worked back out here to Fawaz Basadin. No room for him to whip it in with his left. Just makes his way through to Tabora Mokwene. Plays in a gorgeous ball that Tariq Phillies repels. And still, Sundowns have it. It wasn't the most convincing effort to clear from Spamandla Zikali, who turns 23 next month. There's Mokwena again. Now, Tapelo Morena celebrated his 33rd birthday about 3 weeks ago. Coming in at right back. They will be without Kulisa Mudau for many, many months now, 6 to 8 purportedly. He is in for Zukum Donyelwa. Did come on to earn his first minutes over the weekend on for Siyandan Ndlovu in the MTN 8. Was Tapelo Morena, as it's worked out here too. Self-same Ndlovu. Liam Byrne gets ahead on that. The Sundowns are really pinned AmaZulu, and Brian Leon can't sort his feet out, and now a chance for Sutu to escape. Ngwenya swinging it out wide, but too much on that for Banjo to retrieve.
Surprisingly, AmaZulu able to come out from the high press of Mamelodi Sundowns against the slippery pitch. I spoke about how wet this field is. That makes some of the passes not go according to plan. So that, for me, is the only other worry for AmaZulu if they're going to try and play from the back with the high press that Sundowns provides.
Rugby played here 5 days ago, this past Friday night in the Currie Cup. The Bulls taking on the Stormers, the hosts losing that game. But it is a hybrid pitch, one of the few in the world that can manage the two codes. 50-50 synthetic and real grass that over the past season or so, a year or so, has been slowly binding together and becoming stronger and stronger. Sundowns again search for a route forwards with Ndlovu quickly out of his feet to Morena.
Exactly the words by Atazwane, the coach. Mamelodi Sundowns are very patient in their build-up. They keep the ball for the longest as if they're not going to at all hurt you, but in a split second they can get that ball into the offensive part and hurt you.
Couldn't, however, hurt Le Mans for Golden Arrows over the weekend. Try as they might. 22 shots in total, 6 hitting the target. Bandro came on as a substitute, was magnificent in goal for Bafana Bestende, who scored with their only shot on target. They'll be looking to overturn that deficit this coming weekend away from home. That loss to Le Mans for Golden Arrows ended a 34-game unbeaten home run in all competitions. A run during which they won 28 times, first loss since 2-1 defeat to Chiefs in the Nedbank Cup semi-final in April of 2025 right here at Loftus. Tossed in by Megam Daka, who will turn 23 on Saturday. Nice weekend off for him, with AmaZulu no longer competing in the MTN 8, knocked out by Skukuni United in the quarter-finals of that game, that competition rather. Bajra competing forward with Mailuna. Sundowns man got the better of him, but looked to be a foul on Zikali, so coming back for an Lesotho set piece in a promising position.
They have been making steady build-ups on this right-hand side of the, or left-hand side of the channel, with the ball being knocked out by Sundowns, and eventually this foul, which they will get a chance to fly it into that box. And once again, it's one of those rare moments whereby the opposition has all the time to set the scene in the opposition's box. And they've got aerial presence. AmaZulu, we've talked Phyllis, we've talked Mtetwa, and of course Ngwenya, the top striker.
Ngwenya, who has scored in 4 matches in succession to start the season. It's Hanemob's ball, and with all that physical presence there in the box, you have to say, a bit of a waste.
But he doesn't hang it high enough to get some of the players with aerial presence in the box.
Was it Khadebe with the free kick? Both stood over it. Here's Hanemob now. But certainly a wasted opportunity. Now Bandra Zikali caught a little flat-footed on the flank. It wasn't the worst ball, the worst idea.
Hesitation, I think, from Ngwenya.
Mtetwa all the way back to the Ivorian. Kouassi is living a little dangerously and gets away with it. Still a fairly youthful goalminder, Javier Kouassi. His first name literally means favour, and he almost did Sundowns one.
A little concerned about his first game, or his debut game, of course, against Sekhukhune, but he's recovered so well that he's continued to play, and has helped AmaZulu to get some positive. So I think a game like this is what he needs to really show his true character.
Alberto Mzimela played the first league game, kept a clean sheet in that 1-0 win over Stellenbosch, and then you're referencing Kouassi's debut, which came in that 4-3 defeat to Sekhukhune United in the MTN8. So a baptism of fire in the truest sense, but he's recovered fairly well since then and did keep a clean sheet last time out. The 2-0 win against Siulele. Khoza back to Ronan Williams. Now ground kick out.
Look at how far Ronan Williams is, almost close to the center line. And imagine that there's a slip up with that ball, and with AmaZulu, and a long one, like it just happened now, but he seems to have timed it well. He's back to his normal place, closer to the goal line.
And Daka came steaming through. He manages to force her across through the legs of Khoza, but ineffectual. As Williams now bowls it out to Mailula, was in some space. Stretching to try and keep it alive was Ndlovu, but head straight into touch. Cassius Mailula's reintroduction to Mamelodi Sundowns faithful has been quite sensational. The winner in what was the opening game of the season, the MTN8 quarterfinal against Polokwane City in extra time, and he's netted in back-to-back Premiership matches as well, on as a sub against Kaizer Chiefs to score, and then managing to net against Marumo Gallants as well. Fabulous goal, that one. Morena cushion to Williams. Tashik Matthews for Khoza. Back to Williams. He is one of only 3 players for Mamelodi Sundowns and have now started all of their league games, the other being Brian Leon and Tashrik Matthews, both of whom were left out of the 11 for the MTN8 over the weekend. Allende and Kulisa Mudau previously fell into that category, but Mudau injured and Allende rested today. Now, this is what AmaZulu love, to try and hit their opponents on the transition. And the ball's not really getting the zip that you would need. Makolo.
Looks like there's puddles all over the field. I thought it was just weight on top. But actually, in such a case, the ball does hold up. in the Pagos.
Ndlovu forces his way past Omega Mdaka. Philly stoops to head it behind for a corner kick.
Now, it's the speed which when Sundowns go forward in such case matters. A very difficult ball dropping in front of the defender here. He had no time to basically organize himself to clear it with his foot, preferring to head it away, which was still effective.
Basidine's come over to provide the in-swinging corner. Mamelodi Sundowns will be determined to make the most of their opportunities. Very rare for them not to score, but that was the case over the weekend as Basidine plays it into the box and Ndlovu lifts it up for teammates. Morena cracks it from quite some distance. It's a mistake from Liam Byrne that he makes almost immediate amends.
Once again, it's the slippery nature of the grass that I was talking about. I think that's what caught him flat-footed. Players must realize this is what the kind of tricks that the ball can play in such conditions.
Mamelodi Sundowns were just over 70% of the possession. They had 3/4 of the ball against the Maful Golden Arrows. As I said, failing to score, a bit of a rarity for them, just the third time in 25 matches in all competitions that they haven't managed to get a goal. And at home, it was the first time in 22 home matches that they hadn't scored, as Mailula takes a straight at Kwasi. Usually at home, Mamelodi Sundowns rampant. They had scored at least once in their previous 21 home games. They've scored at least twice in 15 of those games, and 3 or more in 8 of those matches, as Mbandra controls with his head in the box. Daka. Makolo. There's Mbandra again, and he had strayed offsides, and has been at AmaZulu now for 3 years.
Very tight one indeed.
Yeah.
I think just preferring to let go of his run a second earlier. And, you know, you'd have seen just how well AmaZulu can organize, orchestrate passes right in the center as well, regardless of the pressure around. That, for me, it's brilliant. I mentioned the conditions, and if you're able to control the game in that format, in these conditions, then so much can be said about the quality of the players.
Kulise. Kekana. Mokoena receiving from Morena, hands it over to Mailula. Kekana again. Basidine for Koza. Morena.
Just something that I just observe. I've seen Koza play before, but he's a great passer of the ball. Very calm. And I'm not too sure what happened in this first stint when he commanded that position, even made it to the national team, and then all went flat. But what I'm seeing now is great quality in the way that he's so composed, and also obviously partnering Kekana in that center of the defense.
A slip from Hanemob as he dispensed that upfield. Sundowns have already conceded 3 goals in the league this season. It's the most after match day 3 since conceding 4 in their first 3 matches all the way back in 2012, 2013. So in terms of keeping it tight at the back, not the best start to their season by their own very, very high standards.
Indeed.
They make that 13 years since they last conceded as many in their opening 3 league games.
as the coach did allude to the situations, that most of those goals conceded is mainly from mistakes of their own.
Yeah. Marcelino on the overlap. Tries he might, Novel. Not able to keep that in. Have to credit AmaZulu as well for the start that they've made. 7 points from their first 3 games. The last time they did that was in the 2022-2023 season. It's also the last time that they managed to go their opening 4 matches without defeats. Something they could match tonight as it steered through here. Mbanjwa, and then he'd gone too early. Had Atini Makokolo. He initially made the run expecting the original pass to come to him, and was already offside.
Yeah.
Ooh, or was he? Man, that's tight.
Maybe the pass as well, what it was lacking was the height to get behind the defensive line. And the player controlling first was under pressure of having to slow down, which is what allowed Makogolo to run a little bit ahead, which made him look a bit offside. Still questionable though.
Now, since last season, a lot of trust has been placed in Makogolo by Arthur. He turned 24 earlier this month. Did Atini. Matthews. There's Williams. Morena. Back to Kekana. Burn trying to find Sikali, but can't link up with him. This is Mailula now for Sundowns, and Mokoena. Kulise. There's Spilelum Kulise again. Match winner against TS Galaxy. If ever you've seen such an impact from the bench, my goodness, a player who hadn't scored a league goal for about 2.5 years came on to score 2 in just a few minutes.
Incredible, I remember that game very well.
First in the 88th minute and then deep into injury time. Morena couldn't thread that one. Philly's clear. Something for Ngwenya to chase. You suspect he might see precious little of the ball. His first time scoring in 4 successive matches in South Africa. He did make a fast start last season. Scored 4 across 5 matches fairly early into the campaign.
Intensity of the game. You got to love this.
Mokoena had 2 players on him. Still able to control under pressure and keep it moving.
Patient as they might be, but they're being forced to play that ball a little bit quicker than the Mamelodi Sundowns. But that's just how AmaZulu are managing this game, to force Sundowns into playing that ball quicker.
Makokolo receives and buys himself the free kick as well. It was a lovely little improvised pass from Nkosazana Khadebe to find him. A clear push from Mokoena. This is Hanemob now. Phillies for Kouassi. And very, very quickly onto Hanemob. There's Siandin Globo.
Once again, conditions. Hanemob thought he had it all in place. but that's a little bit of a slip up. That ball spraying away, allowing Ndlovu to close him down.
His signature was highly coveted in the off-season, but it's Mamelodi Sundowns who won the race. Big things expected of Sianda Ndlovu this campaign. Pasadin again has gone short. Morena, out of options. Back to Williams, Khoza. Sundowns currently 8 games without defeats against AmaZulu, 7 wins and just 1 draw. The last time AmaZulu won against Sundowns was over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago to be exact. Augustine Molenga, the Zambian, with the lone goal in December of 2021 as Ndlovu plays the ball to the edge of the area. Cassius Mailula returns it to him. Ndlovu has played in a cross that's repelled at the near post, but he'll get it back quickly from Morena, and he returns it to Kekana now. This will not be at all unfamiliar for AmaZulu. They were the side last season, one of 2 sides that had the least possession overall over the course of the campaign. They are more than willing to soak up the pressure, often playing a 5 at the back and then hitting teams on the break.
As you often said, they're prepared to suffer without the ball.
Yeah.
And they're conditioned for that. You can only play such a kind of game if you condition to it. And this is obviously, I guess, comes from lots of preparation in training.
Well, they held Mamelodi Sundowns until deep into their previous league fixture that was back in February, a 1-0 win. The man on the bench today, Marcelo Allende, scoring in the 84th minute, the only goal of the game. In fact, the last 9 goals scored in this fixture, William, have all come in the second half.
He's not happy with the decision, Kekane. Nice to see at some stage whether it's justified to feel like you're aggrieved.
There's Ngwenya again, had a little shove from Kekane. Will have his hands full with the Zimbabwean, no doubt, when there are those rare moments for AmaZulu. And if Ngwenya did continue his scoring streak, he would not be the first Ngwenya to score in this particular tie. Dumisani Ngwenya is actually a top scorer for AmaZulu against Mamelodi Sundowns over the years, with 4 goals. By the way, the top scorer in this tie in the PSL era, or overall rather, is a man sitting somewhere in the stadium. It's Mambush, Daniel Modau, who scored 15 times in this particular tie. As you get a look at the 2 coaches, Zwane much more animated of the pair.
I just like the discipline from AmaZulu. I mean, Mamelodi Sundowns has tried to lure them out of the Middelbroek and bring them a little bit higher, but they're set on their ways and just make it very, very hard for Mamelodi Sundowns to draw them out or to try and play them through the middle, which is what they do well. But it's the wide areas. Tashrik hasn't seen much action. That side of him has been close. Only Ndlovu has seen a little bit of light from this right inside of the channel.
A chance for Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mailula, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable. That is an unbelievable strike. I thought at some stage maybe they were going to catch him. Man, you don't get the volley in that fashion that often, but he got that so beautifully that the goalkeeper didn't even move an inch. I don't think he expected the shot from such an angle and from the ball coming from so high. That is Mamelodi Sundowns for you. Now, look at this. He tries Lula. Oh man, look at how he opens up his body to wrap his foot all over the ball. Oh, it's a beauty.
And we're often told by the former pros, one of the hardest things to do in a pro game, an elite game like this, with pressure around you, to watch it coming, dropping, and to strike it like that. And he is superbly talented, is Brian Leon, but that is...
If I'm a goalkeeper and I get beat from that, I won't feel bad at all. It's better to be beaten by such a beauty than to be beaten by a ball that everybody will think that maybe you had a chance.
I did mention that the last 9 goals in this tie have all been past the half-time break. All second-half goals as AmaZulu look to hit back here with Mbandra cutting it back. The last time there was a first-half goal was Lucas Ribeiro Costa's penalty in a 1-0 win, Sundowns away to AmaZulu in December of 2023. So the last first-half goal also came from a South American in this particular tie. Prodded forward by Tabo Mokoena for the goal scorer. Massive credit has to go to Malibongo Khoza as well for just taking the initiative, driving into the opposition half and playing a really good ball that was skipped by Mokoena for Mailula, ultimately resulting in that goal. Now hoisted diagonal for Omega Mdaka. Now what has he tried there? Was space in the box, and a teammate in the form of Mbandra calling for it.
Yeah. He picks it up here. Obviously, delights to cut it back to Mbandra. So now he's thinking maybe flashing it across the face of goal would have been a better option.
Deeply frustrating for Bizwane. AmaZulu had only conceded 1 goal in 3 league matches coming into this one. Mamelodi Sundowns had to work very hard to get that opener.
Boy, when it came, it was sweet.
Basadin. Now Matthews, a little time on the ball for him. Kulise. Kekana. Morena. Back to his centre half. Khoza. Space and time to try and pick another ball, but goes for the close option with Mailula. Kulise. Spotting some movements from Leon. Challenged well in the air against Gian Hanamuk.
Difference though is if you'll notice that Tarshik is not playing as wide as you would have seen him in the past. He's dropping a little bit more central. Maybe it's why he's faded a bit from the game, with Basadin maybe taking the most of the space down the left-hand side.
Kulise. Morena. It's good to have Tabela Morena back for the options that he does provide. I saw enough from his little cameo over the weekend to give him a starting berth today. He's looked very assured in the role up to this point in a defence that has seldom been troubled about half an hour into the match, as Siandrin Ndlovu looks to spark something.
Reminds me of Pesitao is Ndlovu. Diminutive, but also very pacey and skillful, minus his players in front of him.
Mokoena. Morena. Kulise. Good ball for Brian Leon. For once Basadin can't find Matthews. Wow. Referee Gasa spotted something in the build-up there. That affords Sundowns a great opportunity.
Now, look what happens here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Undoubtedly a foul.
Territory is in, where Keegan has been featuring of the three central defenders of AmaZulu.
Yeah, just the one start for Alan in the league so far this this campaign.
Very central. And left-sided player, left-footed player, right-footed player can also be able to take. Let's see who's in that box. Mokoena, obviously. Basadine is the other. So, very difficult choice for the goalkeeper to try and set up his wall.
Well, it will require something special from here, but we've already seen an outrageous goal. Plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh my goodness! What a strike from Topo Mokoena on his return. He was kicked to pieces in Sundowns' opening game of the season. He sat out the last four. He's been itching to get on the park and to get his foot through a ball. Wow! Wow!
This is just out of this world. I can tell you, this Mamelodi Sundowns team. I told you about the goalkeeper having a problem, not being too sure where to place his wall. And that's the very side he should have been. But because of the two players, he was compromised once more. But the take, he gets it over the wall. The distance is like very difficult for any player to get it over. Oh, man. This is where the goalkeeper should have been. That is where he was. He still gets bit. Beauty.
A gorgeous technique from Topo Mokoena to put Mamelodi Sundowns 2 up. Well, you need a reaction when you're coming off a defeat, and that has often been the case under the tutelage of Miguel Cardoso. As I said, never lost back-to-back matches. In fact, each of the instances where they've lost a game, they've gone on to win. Only once were they held in their following game. So they usually produce some kind of reaction to losing. And they are again here this evening. Think about the last 3 goals that Sundowns have scored. Mailula's goal against Marumo Gallants, which was spectacular. Leon's today, and now Mokwena's.
I mean, what you do as AmaZulu and everybody defending to defend against that, there's absolutely nothing you can do. I mean, I still feel that the goalkeeper maybe chose wrong. His position wasn't quite right.
This is looking good again, William. Morena has misplaced his pass, but the work to get the ball through to him was excellent. There's Mkulise. Well, AmaZulu did win against Stellenbosch in their first away game of the season. They have not won successive away games, their first 2 away games to start a campaign since 2013-14 wins over Orlando Pirates and Ajax Cape Town. It doesn't look likely today, just considering the start that they made with under 10 minutes or just over 10 minutes until the break. As we get a look at how Ardazani reportedly set out to start this match, we might need to tinker a little.
The thing is, if you're playing against a side like Mamelodi Sundowns, if you're going to try and open it up, maybe to try and make a comeback, you might just be sliced even worse. Because, I mean, AmaZulu has tried to hold that middle low block, and it was working. Sundowns saw almost nothing in those first, 20, 25 minutes. But because of the quality that they are, they'll press you up until you crack.
Kulise darts into a bit of space. AmaZulu on the ball. This is Khadebe,
who else has also seen nothing of his runs down the right-hand side.
Look at that work from Brian Leon to dispossess him. Now, Tashrik Matthews wants to join the party. And a good recovery made.
Yeah, one touch too many from Matthews.
Miguel Cardoso, 40 home matches in charge. The defeat against Arrows was just the second he suffered as Mamelodi Sundowns coach at home. Looking for the 30th home win in charge of Mamelodi Sundowns this evening. Still a long way to go, but I guess we can say normal service resumes after that defeat to Arrows, because it's a real anomaly. In the league, they've only lost one of their last 45 home games with 38 wins, and that was that defeat at the end of the 2023-24 season to Cape Town City in their final game under Rulani Mokoena. So in the league, they are currently 30 games unbeaten at home, 31 if you include the expunged win over Royal AM back in 2024. So ahead, according to some, level, according to others, with a record that was held for a very long time by Kaizer Chiefs between 2003 and 2005 of 30 games unbeaten at home. Just saw a moment ago some activity on the AmaZulu bench, William.
Hlangabeza and Keegan are the two players that are warm up the board. Very defensive. Hlangabeza is more of a defensive player, though he's more like an 8. And I mentioned that Mteto, for me, he obviously didn't start the season. Keegan was the more main one that fitted in that 3 at the back. But maybe coach might review that starting lineup, or that pairing of the 3 defensive line. But sometimes, you know what, you can put a blame, but in the way that Mamelodi Sundowns have been dishing up the passes left and right, for me, there's just no answer for that.
Will Sundowns find another before the break against an AmaZulu team who had kept clean sheets in their last 3 away games dating back to last season? And their chance of keeping 4 in succession for the first time in 4 years is now gone. Here's Koza. Kick out for Mailula. It's a crisp first-time ball from the centre half. Morena now gets it back from Ndlovu. Matthews, lovely skill to get away from Khadebe. And then a waste on the cross.
He looked too far ahead instead of maybe a cut back across the 18-yard area.
So Keegan Allen is being introduced here for Omega Mdaka, and Spamandla Zikali will also make way. Zikali, the only change from the Sibilele game, replaced Hlangabeza, and now comes on for him. I'm
interested if that formation is going to change a bit, maybe into a 4. Or Mdaga with him out, Hannah movement moves into that wing back position, and they keep the 3 in that center.
Could get worse for them. Claiming the last touch was off an opponent, and assistant agrees, so it will be a Sundowns corner. Miguel Cardoso would love to see this game effectively wrapped up as early as possible, so he can make changes, he can start thinking ahead to the weekend. Sunday's game in KZN against Golden Arrows would have to overturn a deficit. That MTN8 semi-final. Top 8 competition hasn't really been a happy hunting ground for them recently. They've fallen several times at the semi-final stage. Basadine's ball to the back post. Mokoena gets a boot on it. It was always going to be difficult to keep that one in. And chastening first half for Coach Arthur Zwane. His AmaZulu side have conceded 10 goals in the 5 matches he's overseen against Mamelodi Sundowns since coming on board as head coach. Here's Rian Hanemo. It was a great take from the Namibian. Now trying to force the corner, or trying to keep it in, which he has done. Khadebe. Still Khadebe. And then taken off his toes at the crucial moment as Mokoena cushions it to Mainula. Option on his outside in the form of Tashrik Matthews. No real urgency though from Matthews. Well, with those 2 goals, William, Sundowns have now scored more against AmaZulu than any other team in the PSL era. That were the 86th and 87th goal today against AmaZulu. Previously had only scored more against SuperSport United, 86 goals. And if you consider how many more times they would have faced SuperSport, I think a good 7 or 8 times more. AmaZulu have routinely been in for a hammering against this Sundowns side over the years.
If you talk about organization in the AmaZulu side, I felt like this season they were more organized defensively, and also just the structure of the team. 3 at back, 5 in the middle, 2 up front, in the way that they're being opened up here. But you know what, some will say, what did you expect? I mean, against Mamelodi Sundowns, honestly, you are lucky if you're able to walk away with a 1-0 draw, even in the 2-2. They hardly, this start that we saw this last season, I mean this beginning of the season, was something else that we're not used to.
Well, you speak of those results and the fact that teams have stayed in it against Sundowns, even taken the leads against them. But the last time AmaZulu scored against Sundowns was coming from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 back in May of 2023. Zungu and Shalulile had scored for Sundowns, but Raman Patlele recently announced his retirement, and Junior Dion scoring in the second half to level things up. But it has been over 9 and almost 10 hours since AmaZulu last scored against Mamelodi Sundowns.
But now, my only worry, I know it's the 44th minute, and Mamelodi Sundowns are a little bit too chilled in defense. Even Ron Williams is beginning to put passes in between defenders, and that for me is not a good sign. I know they're trying to keep the ball and try and wind the clock down, but it worries me sometimes when I see players start doing that.
Look at that. Lets it run for Moreno. That was clever. Yes, a necessary sliding intervention from Atine Makakolo, because who knows where Sundowns would have taken that had they been allowed to continue playing those silky passes. Spilelum Kulise, by the way, goes into the book for that challenge. Well, we are being royally entertained here in the nation's capital, but out in KZN, Richards Bay find themselves 2 goals up against Kaizer Chiefs. The young Kaba Ulu reportedly scored twice in that game. Now Valpazani knew coming here that was a tall task on his side's hands. AmaZulu's last away win over Sundowns was in January of 2019, so that's 7.5 years ago now. Coming into this game, Sundowns had scored 14 and conceded 3 in their last 7. Now, offside. Well, that happened in a flash, and although it was offside, it does kind of give you a taste of what AmaZulu are capable of.
Yes, yes. Now, this will obviously give us he comes from an offside position. He had recovered a little bit, but his starting position was definitely way offside.
First player since Bongi Ntuli in 2019, first AmaZulu player to score 3 successive league games. And Ngwenya does have a goal record for AmaZulu, averaging about a goal every 2 games. It's 12 in 23 appearances overall. And I think he might have had a few more had he not been injured the tail end of last season. Sat out the final 10 games of the campaign with a foot injury as the whistle goes to signal what has been a very fruitful first half for the Brazilians. Brian Leon giving them the lead with a spectacular volley, and Teboho Mokoena doubling it with a special free kick, and Sundowns have looked relatively untroubled in navigating this first 45.
More than anything for me, it was efficiency on their part, in the way that they didn't create too many as far as shot at goal, but the few that went on target is what eventually was considered by the goalkeeper. So, and it's a Mamelodi Sundowns that obviously in every way that they did coming into this game, very organized, very direct, and very decisive.
Well, for the first time in 7 meetings between these two sides, we enjoyed a first half goal, 2 of them, in fact, 2 crackers. And Mamelodi Sundowns, looking to bounce back from their weekend's MTN8 defeat, are heading for victory here, 2-0 up against AmaZulu at home. Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mamelodi, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable. Now, look at this. He tries Lula. Oh man, look at how he opens up his body to wrap his foot all over the ball. Ah, it's a beauty.
And we're often told by the former pros, one of the hardest things to do in a pro game, an elite game like this, with pressure around you, to watch it coming, dropping, and to strike it like that. Well,
You know what?
Superbly talented is Brian Leon, but that is...
If I'm from this right inside of the channel.
A chance for Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mamelodi, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable. From this right inside of the channel.
A chance for Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mamelodi, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable. From this right inside of the channel.
A chance for Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mamelodi, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable. From this right inside of the channel.
A chance for Khoza now to stride into the opposition half and thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mamelodi, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit.
Unbelievable.
takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit. Takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Wow, what a glorious goal from Brian Leon. That is a special hit. Thread a gorgeous ball through here for Mailula, who takes aim. Now on the edge of the area. Oh! Plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh! Oh my goodness! What a strike from Tupo Mokoena on his return. He was kicked to pieces in Sundowns' opening game of the season.
Any player to get it over. Oh man! This is where the goalkeeper should have been. That is where he was. He still gets bit. Beauty.
A gorgeous technique from Tupo Mokoena to put Mamelodi Sundowns 2 up. Well, you need a reaction when you're coming off a defeat, and that has often been the case under the tutelage of Miguel Cardoso. As I said, never lost back-to-back matches. In fact, each of the instances, plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh! Oh my goodness! What a strike from Tupo Mokoena on his return. He was kicked to pieces in Sundowns' opening game of the season. Plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh! Oh my goodness! What a strike from Tupo Mokoena on his return. He was kicked to pieces in Sundowns' opening game of the season. Plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh! Oh my goodness! What a strike from Tupo Mokoena on his return. He was kicked to pieces in Sundowns' opening game of the season. Plenty of protection for Kouassi as Mokoena. Oh! Oh my goodness!
Let me hear your voices! Let me hear your voices!